Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Awaken Alive podcast. I'm your host, Mike DeCroche. On the phone also is my co-host, Mark Smith, and our guest, Ori Hofmekler. Before we get started, I just want to remind everyone to please check out the website and subscribe to the podcast in iTunes. The website is IamAwakeandAlive.com. We have a lot of great functional strength information, and we also have an online training portal where you can train with us and follow along anywhere on your smartphone, iPad, or your phone. Follow our programs and learn how to train functionally for a lifetime and not just for short-term goals. But to get right in it tonight, with us tonight is Ori Hofmekler, owner of DefenseNutrition.com. Ori is the author of the Anti-Estrogenic Diet, the Warrior Diet, and I believe, Ori, do you also have a book coming out or also out on the stress and hormesis?
Yes, I just finished a manuscript. I worked several years on a project that I didn't even plan to, but it just pulled me into that. I just couldn't resist it. It's called The Stress Principle. And the book is very controversial, but I never felt so excited and passionate about a concept like the one of the stress principle. In fact, I'm planning to do a live stream seminar soon. Again, something I didn't even plan to do. I felt the need to do that, to share this information, which is so outstandingly shocking and controversial. Again, it took me years to realize when I was working on this project how far lagging behind is our conventional concept of fitness and wellness, and how well we can improve our life and prolong our life have we had the right knowledge.
Now, without giving too much away, because I know you're probably going to cover a lot of this in your seminar, what is the idea behind the stress response in your seminar?
You mean the stress principle?
Stress principle, excuse me, yeah.
Well, how can I start? There's a certain, let me just explain what is stress first of all. Stress, the term stress is very controversial. In fact, up till now, no dictionary managed to really define it. The concept of stress is generally of a process of tension that it unveils and can harm you. And it's partly true because stress can kill you. What is largely unknown to people is the other side of stress, the hormetic side. The part that can actually not heal you, but extend your life in a way that it's still to a magnitude that we still not know. Science already bring evidence that this phenomena really exist. In fact, there's evidence that lifespan of certain organism can be extend twice as normal. Not only that, these organisms, nature seem to keep them ever lean and fit all throughout. This is an incredible phenomenon. Can it apply to us humans? I believe it can. The problem is that the mechanism that trigger this phenomena are all shut down in our bodies. All organisms are programmed for stress. When you think about it, stress is inherent to life. There is no meaning to life without stress. Everything that we do, including this minute, involves certain level of stress. You walk out to keep your body, you put your body under physical stress to be in shape. You have to keep your diet restricted to be in a good health. You have to work hard to make a living even now. You have to work even harder to create something that nobody else created. You have to compete with other people on your podcast right now. It's all involving certain level of stress. So stress is not only part of life. Nature programmed us to thrive under stress. We have an innate system programmed just for that. That's yeah.
Oh, sorry. Are you talking about the fight or flight response?
Yes, the stress response system. And that system is very defined. When it's activated, it triggers genes and pathway that not only extend your life, it actually do miraculous processes in your body. It shifts your energy metabolism to favor fat burning. It put you away from fat gain. It actually activates a whole system. It's called heat shock response that search and destroy every weak and sick element in your body. There is much more to that, Mike, much more to that. But the point is, there is a code here to this process. It doesn't just happen. And just putting yourself under stress is not gonna extend your life. This is too banal to say that. There is a certain code that you need to understand, certain kind of a knowledge. If you know how to use it, I believe human life can change dramatically. If, however, we keep our old conventional concept, black and white, running, in the best case, you can be fit as long as you try to keep yourself fit, but you never go to this transformation that to outlive your life and become a super you. That is just not going to happen.
Now we'll probably get into the intermittent fasting, here in a few minutes. But is this? I know that there's a lot of guys who use cold water exposure and ice baths. Are the guys who are really into that? Are they trying to trigger this mechanism by slowly? It's sort of the hormetic response of I can tolerate cold for 5 minutes. The next time I'm in here, maybe it's 5 minutes, 5 seconds, and triggering the body to adapt to, obviously, like you said, you're in there too long, even cold is going to kill you, but in small dosages, it may actually benefit you and cause this response. Are you talking about something similar to that?
Absolutely. You just said it right. I mean, there are certain kind of stressors which we call primal stressor. Among them is radiation, heat shock, cold shock, certain kind of, I would say, toxin, right? That naturally occur from heavy metal to other kind of plant toxin, and exposure to that at a certain kind of way can trigger the mechanism, the stress response mechanism to benefit you. However, and that's a huge however, if you fail to understand the threshold, if you overactivate something, if you expose yourself for too long or too much stress, it can be extremely counter-effective. The same stress that could have healed you would turn harmful and deadly. And what you describe here is true. I believe that putting yourself in a cold shock through ice bath or a heat shock or hypoxia, lack of oxygen, these are all legit. These are all stressors that in theory can trigger hormesis. But in my book, what I show is 7 principles to guide you to this code of stress to never do it wrong. There is a reason why I created in the Warrior Diet. I was the first one to create intermittent fasting. When I wrote my book in the year 2000, it was published in 2002. At that time, the concept of intermittent fasting did not even came about. I'm the one who created it. And there's a reason why I created it in intermittent is 5 over 24 hours. Not every other day, not fasting for 3 days, but rather fasting within the frame of 24 hours. I explained it several times, but I came into much more detail in my new book, and I will explain the seminar, how critical the timing under stress is. Critical. And it reflects not only to the way or to the duration of your fasting, it reflects to how long you exercise and how long you put yourself under stress, period.
Now, are these principles like things like intermittent fasting, where you were to say eat within in a short period of window? Are these things that you recommend you do daily? You need to expose yourself to these kinds of stressors daily, or are these more things that are built into your programming where you do them periodically, or is it something that should be a lifestyle habit?
Well, this is a very good concept, and quite honestly, I don't think there's enough time to come to all the details here. However, this question is very good. Yes, intermittent fast, the way I present 4 hours window or not, is just a technical suggestion. The idea is to eat one main meal a day and fast or undereat for the most of the day. You don't need to do water fasting, you can undereat. Energy is the key element in this realm. Energy, in fact, is the most important factor. In fact, not energy, it's the lack of energy which is the main factor. So we were always told, Mike, that we need energy, we need more energy to function, more energy for life. This is the old concept that we need energy. We need energy, so there's so many energy projects and products out there. But the fact that nature does not favor energy at all. In fact, it's the depletion of energy and lack of energy that triggers us to thrive. Mike, this is what happened when you exercise. Think about what happened in your body. You do exactly the opposite of what you were told. You deplete energy, you damage your muscle tissue, you create stress, you create micro turn in your muscle fiber, you do everything against what you were told. And guess what? That's what benefits you. That's exactly what triggers your body to repair and improve, adapt and improve to better survive. This is how you develop your muscle. But symbolically, it applies to every other stressor you apply in your life. But guess what, Mike? If you overdo it, you can destroy yourself. You can absolutely destroy yourself.
Well, you could certainly do that, with food too. And you're right. It goes in this concept that, of intermittent fasting, and it goes in the face of a lot of what you're told. So if you look at bodybuilders, they're told to gorge themselves every 2 or 3 hours, because if they don't, they'll start catabolizing muscle.
Right.
And marathon runners and ultramarathon runners think that they need to be eating carbohydrates 24 hours a day, or their glycogen stores will deplete. And I guess that would be one thing that I'd ask is can you build muscle? I know a lot of our listeners are going to ask this question. Can you build muscle fasting, or is this a form of calorie restriction that would counteract that?
This is one question that I dedicated a whole chapter, and I will definitely discuss it in my seminar. You've got to understand that in nature there are certain kind of trade-off. And it's not me. It's already been established that there is a biological trade-off between growth and longevity. In fact, between even growth and virility. And here's the fact. The fact is, of course, it's possible to build muscle. I call it muscular development. And why development? Because it's not about building the mass. It's about improving muscle fiber quality. Naturally, millennium ago, when we were exposed to physical hardship, the muscle evolved to improve muscle fiber quality to better survive. What does it mean? we have two kind of groups, fast and slow. I'll try to be very fast here, okay?
Oh yeah, we're following you.
The slow muscles are slow, but they have a great capacity to utilize both carb and fat fuel, especially fat fuel, which is a huge advantage. The fast fiber, the type 2B, the bodybuilder fiber, are much larger, much faster, stronger, but guess what? They have one big biological limitation. They are limited to carb fuel. Therefore, the durability is so low and so small that I already say that the typical muscle guy would not have survived natural selection. Have the typical bodybuilder lived 10,000 years ago during the late Paleolithic period, there is no way he could have survived natural selection. He would be extinct. This muscle, the modern type 2B oversized muscle, is dysfunctional. It betrays its biological purpose, which is better survivability. So when everybody's talking about building muscle, I like to talk about developing muscle. That means improving muscle fiber quality. And I didn't come with this. It's basic biology textbook. It's not just with us. It's with cats and dogs and cows. You really are programmed to develop muscle to better survive. And no organ in your body should be oversized. Oversizing is a biological liability, and so is everything that causes oversizing in your body. Go and ask every first-year student on biology or medicine, and they will tell you that oversizing of organ is typically a sign of disease and aging. Even on the cellular level, the enlargement of cells is a sign of aging. Then why the hell are we trying to oversize anything in the body? Why do you even need to be so big and dysfunctional? A big guy with inferior muscle fiber not only is lack durability, he basically destined himself to live a shorter life. And if he doesn't train, he's prone to weight gain and obesity. No wonder why so few bodybuilders age well. In fact, athletes do not age well either. Statistically, they are prone to get overweight and prone to premature aging as much as the average Joe. And it's all come down to wrong concept of fitness and especially wrong sport nutrition. Bad goal, bad nutrition, accelerate aging and death.
Yeah, Mark and I couldn't agree more. Like we try to, I guess, teach a system of functional fitness, or I should say, Mark primarily teaches a system of functional fitness to try to help guys, get strong and move better and realize it's about training for the long term. But do you think that part of the reason that bodybuilders have that, age so quickly is because all this constant eating and supplementation gasses out their digestive system and their organs, and that you could, I guess you could say, the runway is only so long, and if
gut health theory.
Yeah,
yes, I do believe that you said it right, both of you guys, Mike and Mark. Yeah, absolutely, but it's more than that. Think about it. Energy is a key factor. Depletion of energy is the factor that trigger hormesis. That will trigger your body to compensate. That's what activate cellular stress response to improve energy utilization efficiency, increase mitochondria biogenesis in the muscle, improve durability, activate longevity, activate the myosin heavy chain to improve your muscle fiber. All this is happening when you deplete energy. Now, guess what happens when you constantly load energy? Exactly the opposite. You shut down this awesome mechanism that keep you biologically young, virile, and functional. This is anti-fitness. So what they do, they walk out to pump heavy iron, which is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with this. I could argue about this training method too, but this, I'm not going to speak here about the way bodybuilders train. I do believe that the way they feed is extremely counter-effective, and the goal is wrong. But they live in the bodybuilding world, and it's kind of a cocoon when people live in this fantasy that anabolic is the best thing on earth and catabolic is the end of the world. And in biology, it's exactly the opposite. Growth is traded off with a lifespan. And if you overpump food and calories into your body constantly, you are aging constantly. Again, you inhibit all the mechanisms that make you fit, make you thrive, and keep you biologically young. You just inhibit it. So you're right. This constant feeding, not just with bodybuilders, with the rest of the population, is extremely counter-effective. And when you look at it, Mike, we have an industry that not only encourages us to eat frequently, it encourages us to eat comfort food, which is the fastest to release energy into our system. Fast energy, anything sweet, anything sugary, or combination of sugar and fat. These are all deadly foods. They're absolute, as far as fitness goes, they're anti-fitness. I don't care how you put it and how you excuse it. And so as for your question, yes, I do believe that the warrior diet, intermittent fasting, should be followed every day. And the more you do it, the more it starts to be registered in your body. Hey, Mike and Mark, right?
Yes.
What happened when you stop training? You're going to get crazy, aren't you? If you train regularly and suddenly stop training, aren't you going to get crazy? You're going to miss it.
Yeah, before, and it's just I go nuts, even if it's just a couple of days or eat 3-4 days out of it. I'm just going nuts.
Yep.
Yeah, my body's honestly, it's like it's itching from the inside out. It needs that stimulation.
Correct.
That physical stimulation.
That's because you correctly so train your body to embrace hormesis, embrace distress. The same thing will happen to you if you follow intermittent fasting. It's going to feel exactly, if you miss it, it's going to feel exactly like not exercising. If you do it right. But you are not a typical part of the society. The vast majority of people are afraid of stress. They're afraid of hormesis. They're afraid to commit themselves to this. And they adapt to the other side. And this is not the first time in the history of life that this is happening. Many species over the history manage to, mistakenly or not, adapt to the other side. Adapt to plenty, to excess of food, to indulgence, and they eventually finish like extinct. I remember that I did my graduation work in biology about a species that, it was a bird actually, that used to dominate Earth, called diatrema, 50 million years ago. But over time it gave up the ability to fly because it developed a better way to run, and it was just easier to run and hunt while running than flying. That loss of trait caused to its extinction, this extinction. Why do I say that? Because symbolically, humanity, unknowingly, is now becoming an endangered species. The rate, if we were any other species, and biologists would look at us, they would get concerned. The rate of obesity, diabetes, metabolic syndrome among the adult population, children too now, are staggering ever so high. Think about that. Most people over the age of 50 are either overweight or obese. Most people over the age of 55 are diabetic or pre-diabetic. In the rate of sexual disorder or sexual dysfunction among male and female is all-time high. We already know it is done now, has been known, that men are losing the sperm count from one generation to another. This should raise a lot of questions. So that brings me maybe to the last feature, which I call biological fitness. When we talk about fitness, it shouldn't be just, how much you can perform, how much can you lift. This is all nice. I think the term fitness must be redefined. And biological fitness is not regular fitness. In fact, in many times, these two terms contradict each other. If I ask you, Mike and Mark, what is biological fitness, what would you say?
The ability to successfully reproduce.
I say the same thing. Pass your genes on.
Yeah, that's actually a very good description of one very important aspect. But biological fitness is all about the ability to survive and thrive, period. The ability to reproduce is, of course, critical part of it. So survival is a key factor here, and so is reproductivity and longevity. These are key factors. Where do you find this factor in conventional fitness?
Well, nowhere. Yeah, I mean,
you don't find it in your local.
That's why I went unconventional, because the conventional aspect didn't make a lot of sense. I just saw people being unhealthy in their 50s and 60s after 30, 40 years of, quote, exercise and healthy living. And I said there has to be a different way, so I started doing things differently.
Yeah, I think that you guys, I'm glad that we are sharing the same vision, because it's time for people to wake up today.
Well, that's why that's part of the I guess part of the Awake and Alive, Ori, is Mark and I's primary goal is to sort of I guess relearn or re-educate people and expose people to guys like you who have these great ideas, because we feel it's so important for people to start thinking differently about the way they eat and train. And it's a challenge to break down that, these, I guess if you want to call them, these rules that they've been indoctrinated with and that they can't get past because they've been told this their entire life.
You're very right, but it all comes down to very basic question, or I would say axioma that we need to put. The first one is belief. Quite honestly, if you don't believe that God or nature created this world for a purpose, you're lost. If you're not looking for a purpose here in evolution or biology, some kind of a reasoning, what's the point? There's no point of it, even of a discussion. So belief is a very important factor. You've got to believe that there is an intention, there is a wisdom here, and we evolved in a certain way and not another. And the purpose is to thrive, to better survive and longer live. And we also need to understand that everything is programmed around it. But when we go beyond our own niche, we have to look at the whole world the way it exists. And it really relates actually to our nutrition and food choices. We live along with other species. And when you look, and I know there's not enough space here, but when you look deeply, we are programmed to coexist with other species, plants and animal alike. Our life depends on nutrients, especially from plant, and plant depend on animal to distribute their genes through pollination, and animal depend on us to protect them, but they also depend on plants. When you look at this, there's a cross-dependency rule of nature that must be followed, must be obeyed. And so humanity today violate all of it. First of all, let's start with the fact that we lost big part of our nutrition. I put it in my book, and I dedicated a large part of my book to certain kind of lost nutrient. Well, not completely lost, but nutrient that no longer exists in our food chain, but yet are more important to our survival, perhaps than even vitamins, mineral, or what conventional nutrition call essential nutrients. These nutrients do not work like typical antioxidant or vitamins or minerals. They actually trigger longevity genes and pathway or mechanism that make you thrive, make you live longer, make you leaner and healthier and fit for life. Honestly, that's the way it is.
Is this what you refer to on your website as a stress-activated food, or SAF?
Yeah, SAF is definitely that. I call it stress-activated food because our food supposed to come from stressed species, not from obese, indulgent species. That's why we should not eat plant butter from fertilized or pesticide plant, because fertilization and pesticides cause plant to be obese like animals. They really spoil the plant. The plant is losing nutrient that was supposed to protect the plant from stressors. These are the nutrients. What's amazing about nature, that this nutrient can be shared by animals and humans. So the same protective properties of this nutrient toward the plant, the same way they protect the plant from death by stress, they protect the animal and humans that consume them. There is no equivalent to that in nature, but it's not only in plants. When you take an animal, for example, like a cow or a goat or a sheep, if the cow is nutritionally stressed, like graze all year round, grass-fed, even in season where grass is hardly available, the cow is very stressed, or the sheep or the goat, the animal. They produce less milk, sometimes less than half of the milk yield, but the milk is so superior with the nutritional properties. It contains stress-activated compounds like immunoglobulin, lactoferrin, bovine cell albumin. These are proteins that protect the newborn from infection and diseases, but they also work on adults in a similar way, and in many ways they have the similar property to stress activated compound of plants. In other words, we evolve in a world when the nutrition that we ate was stressed. We are now living in a world that our nutrition is unstressed, spoiled, overly protected, and obese. When we eat it from plant, it's actually less dangerous than eating animal product. Animal product, especially meat, are the worst. These are coming mostly from overfed animals that are chronically stressed. They are defenseless. They have pro-inflammatory stress response inhibiting compound that you absorb to your body, and they have detrimental effect on your body. The flesh of animal and the fat of stress animal is horrible. Yeah, I know people are addicted to eating meat of all kind, but the typical meat that we get today is absolutely deterrent. So the book explained to you what kind of step or measure can you do today, what can you do today to recover those missing nutrients, and what to avoid. And when you look at it deeply, obviously you're into fitness, and I really have to respect that. I think one of the most dangerous area is where people are buying product that's supposed to make them fit, and actually they do the opposite.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So. Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mike. Okay. Well, I think that's how you ended up with a multi-billion-dollar nutrition industry. Is that none of it really works. So it's one gimmick after another, or just propaganda and marketing that.
Couldn't say better. I'm glad that you said things they are the way they are.
Yeah, they get people to believe that this is going to help them, and if you eat this or if you take that, it's going to work. And when it doesn't, or it might just even have somewhat of a placebo effect, people continue to buy into that and continue to spend money, and that's why an industry that's ridiculously lucrative yet very minimally productive.
Yeah, and when you look at most protein bar today, including those that pretend to be low sugar, they have so many chemical, I call it anti-hormetic ingredient, from sugar to sugar alcohol. Sugar alcohol is deterrent too, believe me. Glycerin is another form of sugar alcohol. All these chemical additives, detergent, petroleum-based detergent, they are cheap casing. That was casing. It's a toxic byproduct that was supposed to be used to clean bathroom with. People are eating it. It's not the casing that you find in raw milk. It's a byproduct that doesn't even resemble food. And then you can see paleo bar with grounded dead beef as scavenger. Quite honestly, horrible kind of food that people, maybe good people, just because they don't know, they buy and eat it. I created my company, Defense Nutrition, to not only spread the right information and discuss how life's supposed to be and show people the science and the way to do things right, but also we create products, though we don't really market them, but we create products that I believe are close to perfection. We absolutely eliminate anything adverse. All the product fit our vision, especially the stress principle and the warrior diet. We don't, my new generation of bar, we are just not moving away from everything artificial. That's of course, we don't use sugar, sugar or sugar alcohol or glycerin or fructose or not. Right now, I'm creating a whole generation of new bars in line without even flavoring. Absolutely wholesome ingredient. I believe that it's important for people to try alternative, and in my opinion, it also tastes better. Well, look at this, Mike and Mark. When you eat real food, there is no replacement for that. There is no substitute to the enjoyment that you can have from the taste of real berry or grapes or banana or whatever that you eat, right? Cheese or what. There is no substitute to real food. And all the attempt to create substitute are just failing, in my opinion. I don't know why people take this stuff and still eat it. Mm-hmm. I tried some of the stuff. I don't know if you tried it, but you can see it immediately by the taste of it. The chemical aftertaste. We should develop, if you give a chemical tasting bar, we say with dogs and cats. Cats are it's very interesting with cats. They have very high sensitivity to chemicals. And if I give my cat my warrior way, he would love that, especially the plain. They absolutely, all my animals get it. If I get them another company, I don't want to get a lawsuit, so I'm not going to mention names. But he will never touch it. They smell it, they never touch it. So animals know better than us what's good. We need to go back to our animal instinct and make the right choices.
Are you sure, Ori, that that's not just because cats are incredibly snobbish and spoiled?
No, I'm sure they're not. And I tell you what is my criteria for cats and dogs.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a cat and a dog, and both of them like to eat grass, or dogs, in the case of dogs, they go for bark or trees, they even eat dirt, your dog is not really spoiled. It still has this animal instinct looking for soft nutrients. That's what soft nutrients are. So carnivorous animals, like dog and cats, as long as they like to eat grass, they still have the animal instinct.
My 3-year-old likes to eat grass.
He does, right?
So he eats grass all the time.
Are you talking about a dog?
My 3-year-old, my kid.
Your
3-year-old
kid?
son.
That's amazing.
He loves eating
That's
grass.
amazing. That's incredibly good. That is incredible.
Okay.
Because most, well, I don't know what you did, but most kids, these instincts are being crushed away from them. But it is inherent to us. That say, Mark, right? You have to see the full picture. We have an instinct for stress. So it's not even a matter whether we are spoiled or not. We have an instinct for stress. So the question is whether we listen to this instinct or we inhibit it. It's almost, let me describe it this way. The human body or the animal is like a vehicle. The machine, the engine is constantly on. Unlike real machine, the engine constantly on. It's humming. Your engine is humming the whole time. So everything that you're programmed in to better survive, also out evolution, is still humming there. Okay? Now, what dictates your behavior is how many times and when do you put the brakes. So if you just let your body, it's probably very well programmed, sexually, nutritionally, behavior-like. We are like animal, and God knows how far we can go with this. But we have these brakes that we were taught to pull our brakes, our leg on the brakes the whole time, which makes sense. We need to regulate or control our behavior. But sometimes the brakes go too hard, and sometimes too chronic to the point that we create disorders. And this is a very complicated area because we were thought to believe the opposite. We were thought to believe that, hey, disease happened, we need to fix it. Well, whatever we call disease is always there. We just need to find a way to block it from spreading. Let me give you an example. Eating disorder, for instance. It's called a disease, right? People, especially women, from some kind of a reason, they stop eating, they become anorexic to the point that it can become dangerous, harmful, and deadly. But when you look deeply in it, the anorexian behavior is not a disorder, it's an instinct. Anyone can have times that they don't want to eat under stress. It can happen to any normal person, or the opposite. People can overeat under stress. I explain in my book exactly this phenomena and why it happened in my opinion, but I also try to bring this scientific proof to this phenomenon. In the case of anorexia, in my opinion, is a normal anorexic instinct that blow up into an obsessive disorder. It's not something that is happening. It's something that exists in anyone. It can turn to a disorder. Aggression is also an instinct. It can turn to a disorder. And so are many other things. And then there is the opposite. When the brakes is too hard, when your leg is too much on the brakes, you can develop the other disorder like overeating, binge eating. You totally suppress the anorexic instinct, you become to chronically overeat. We need to see the two sides of things, and that's where the stress code come into play.
And it sounds like, I know it looks like we're getting short on time, but it seems like what you're talking about is finding a natural balance. So you're not chronically under eating, but you're also avoiding the overeating and the excessiveness, and finding that natural place where your body will be in homeostasis or biologically fit. Is that what you're saying? Ori, did we lose you?
No, I just got a reminder. I think that my holiday and my coming soon. So
sure. Well, why don't, that's a good place to end there. We can always have you come back on, and we can get into greater detail. I know we were kind of.
Yeah, I think you got the glimpse of it. I think we understand. I think we're on the same page. I just want to remind guys, listen, if you're interested, go to Defense Nutrition, defensenutrition.com, put yourself on the mailing list. We are planning to do soon a live stream seminar on the stress code, the stress principle. It's going to be for a limited group. It's going to be the first one ever, an experiment where two well-renowned researchers are very interested. They're going to watch it with me. I don't think anything of this ever happened before, so I'm looking forward to see you guys and continue the discussion because this is an ongoing process. The more we do it, the more we learn.
Yeah, this is great information. Thank you for joining us.
I loved it.
We will link up to your website, and also include a link where people can subscribe to you so they can follow you more closely.
Thank you very much, Guy. I really enjoyed talking to you. Let's be in touch.
We will. Thanks, Ori. Have a good night and enjoy your holiday.
All right. Enjoy Yom Kippur.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you next week. Good night.